Today we are speaking with Scott Alden, who is at the construction team in Sydney at HWL Ebsworth Lawyers. Hello, Scott.
Good morning, Yvonne. How are you going?
I'm very well, thank you. Now, you will be speaking at the Procurement Australasia conference coming up. Thank goodness we all get to meet in person again. And the theme of the conference this year is Procure a Better World. And we're concentrating on three key drivers: the strategic and the sustainable and also the social drivers. And this is where you come in, Scott, because you'll be chatting with us again on modern slavery, and this time how that can impact social procurement practices. So can you give us a bit of a sneak peek, please?
Sure. Now, so modern slavery, as we have heard before, and it's a pleasure to be speaking at Procurement Australia's conference again this year, is basically all about industries and sectors and organisations that engage with people on their first tier of supply, or second or third or fourth or wherever it is, where there are people who are suffering in some way. So, and that can permeate through the supply chain, and it can be very invasive. And there are many millions of people around the world involved and directly affected by modern slavery, 40 million by last count. We have many thousands here in Australia, actually, but there are 40 million globally, and this is really a global issue. And the world still purchases in a global way, and it's incumbent on Australian businesses to do those things and to procure and look at their supply chains thoughtfully, and where they can make some real social difference and sustainably create a better world, which is really what the whole conference is about.
Absolutely. So can you give us an example of one of the common mistakes that businesses just don't realize that they're making around this?
Well, I think there's a few, and there are some signs of modern slavery. We have it on our doorstep in some sense. Sectors that are directly affected would be electronics, manufacturing, construction, fishing, fruit picking, etc. And that's where it can be a bit more indirect, but it can be very much direct. So where people are underpaid, for example, or where we have got people brought in from overseas who maybe don't have the legal right to work, are abused and are put in situations where they're very much taken advantage of. And that's a terrible social issue, but it affects us right here. In addition to that, and far more removed from that, and organizations often certify and say things like, we have no global modern slavery. They'll say things like that, which actually they can't, because every electronic device, an iPhone or whatever it might be, has got inside it what they call conflict minerals, and those minerals are particular minerals mined in places like Democratic Republic of Congo, where children are sent down mines in terrible conditions, are forced to do so, and are not paid for doing that in basic slavery. So that's happening. And there's not very much that organizations can do about that, because they need printers, computers, and iPhones. So I think the world will change slowly, but it is changing slowly. I understand that the likes of Apple and Microsoft are looking to open their own mines in those countries where people will be treated properly, which is wonderful. But right now, that isn't the case. So right now, no organization can say that. So that's an error that people make, is they proudly say we have no modern slavery. Can't be the case. Everybody does, actually. What you can do, though, is to minimize and make change where you can. Obviously, you can't change that necessarily, but you can change other things.
Absolutely on point with the conference message of Procure a Better World, as you say, Scott. So if you don't want to miss Scott's presentation, head over to the website and grab your tickets for the conference in Melbourne now. If you know you can't get to Melbourne, there is actually an option for you to register your interest for live streaming. And if there is enough interest in that, we might go ahead with it. You never know. Thank you very much for your time, Scott.
Thank you, Yvonne.